Today, we are bringing you another episode in our Off the Carousel series, where we will be joined by each and every new head coach to the Division One ranks. There are almost 60 of them. We're going to be rolling these out a couple of days throughout the month of May and the month of June. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And if you like this interview, don't be afraid to tap that like button. That stuff really does help our channel and help our presence on YouTube. It helps more people like you find this content. And since I have you guys here, make sure that you check out our Instagram and TikTok pages. We are going to be pumping out more unique content over there throughout the summer heading into next season. Like, for example, did you know that Penny Hardaway was shot when he was a player in college? I bet you didn't know that. There are more stories like that on those pages. The links are in the description below. So now, without further ado, let's get into another edition of Off the Carousel.
All right, this is the latest edition of Off the Carousel by Field of 68. My name is Eli Betker, and today we are super fortunate to be joined by University of South Carolina men's basketball head coach Lamont Paris. Lamont is really fortunate to have a wonderful job here in the SEC. He's done just a great job in all sorts of areas of college basketball over his years. And to begin, Coach, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and guess we'll get things started. How's everything been in your new home, and what are you enjoying so far about South Carolina?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Eli. It's been a whirlwind, as I'm sure like that's probably every coach says the same thing when you get a job. It's just it's a very unique profession in that, you know, I had someone ask me, well, when do you put your 2 weeks notice in, and when does it's like, yeah, you get the job on Tuesday, you fly down here on Thursday, and then there's no looking back. You never aren't working here. So, yeah, things have been great here in Columbia. I've just really enjoyed getting to meet a bunch of the guys that we have on our team here and we'll have on the team moving forward. And then just the people around here have been great, but very welcoming, and, you know, they're big fans. And so it's just been a really good athletic town and department, and some of the coaches have been phenomenal. I spent some time with Coach Beamer and also with Coach Staley. She's been incredible. Both of them have, but what Dawn's done is phenomenal. She's just a great person. But anyway, so I've been enjoying that, trying to come up for air a little bit now that we've gotten a couple recruits in this inaugural class. And so that helps a lot in terms of trying to get back to some level of normalcy.
Well, what are some of the things that initially attracted you about the South Carolina job, and being in kind of a similar area with Chattanooga and the success that you've had there? What attracted you about this position, and what do you look forward to with South Carolina?
Yeah, I think the Chattanooga project, for lack of better terminology, I think it really made a job like South Carolina, in my mind, seemed like it was extremely attractive, just in that there were a lot of resources there from what I knew. You don't know things until you get into the weeds and get there. But I perceived, just from a resource standpoint, the conference was a big attraction. There had been a history of some success here at some point. And so, and success, as I say success, not to say that there was no success here, it's all relative. So my charge would be to lead this team back to the NCAA tournament on a consistent basis. And I just felt like there was, the barriers to entry of achieving that goal were not significant in my estimation. And so, it was in a region that I was familiar with and had been in the last 5 years. And so I just thought it was a great opportunity, and the timing was perfect.
So your career progression, I'm sure you wouldn't describe it this way, but on paper, it certainly looks linear, going from D3 assistant coaching, D2, then mid-major, and then being fortunate to have a high major assistant position at Wisconsin and learn from the very best of the best with Bo Ryan and Greg Gard. What would you say are maybe some of the things that you've learned along the way, and maybe in particular, being under some of the head coaches along the lines of the great Bo Ryan and also Greg Gard?
Yeah, I really like how my career has gone. I understand that there aren't as many people that do it that way nowadays. There's a lot of fast tracking that goes with it, but the thing I really like about how my career went was that I was able to really early on in my career, do every aspect of coaching. When you're at smaller school levels, Division III, I mean, you're literally doing everything from recruiting to coaching. We had a JV team, so I was the head coach of the JV team, practice planning, marketing, you name it, you're doing it. So I think you're able to establish your coaching voice at an early age, your style of coaching at an early age of in your career. So, and then just kept moving up the ladder that way. I was fortunate to be around some really good coaches and learn a lot of things. And, but yeah, to answer your question, I think at Wisconsin, a couple of the biggest things I learned was the real value of character as it pertains to winning. I think that was the place I learned that more than any. And I would say that because we had good players, but we were playing against better players on an average, better prospects, I guess, coming out of high school, they were better prospects on an everyday, on a consistent basis. So it was that. And then I learned a lot from Bo on just managing and handling situations. I think that was the biggest thing, that the X's and O's, everybody's going to have their own take and their own flair on what you do. If it was a certain play or a group of plays that won games, everyone would be doing those. So, but I think I learned a lot just in terms of how he dealt with players and issues that would come up that he would quell before they turned into issues. And just, he was a master of that sort of thing. And so I think as I look back, that's just how to handle people. I think that was the biggest thing that I took from him.
So before we turn the page to this year's roster and some of the things that you're establishing at South Carolina, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about March and Chattanooga's run, and obviously the SoCon title game and the emotions of that, and then the NCAA tournament and the emotions of that. So what was this whole experience like for you to be in a head coaching position for the first time, to send Chattanooga to the NCAA tournament in the ridiculous fashion that it happened? And then obviously the NCAA tournament first time matchup didn't go the way that you wanted, but I think that just the opportunity and some of the things that you might have learned along the way, I think are maybe pillars that you could establish at South Carolina. So what do you take from that experience?
Yeah, it was a crazy way that the season ended, our regular season, with the conference championship ending that way, against a team that you had beaten twice already during the season. So there were a lot of reasons that game, could go the other way. But it just was, the level of fulfillment and accomplishment that you felt on a personal level is hard to match when you look back to 5 years ago to where we were from a roster standpoint, from a character standpoint, from an academic performance standpoint. Certainly we had come a long way. And so it was extremely fulfilling that way, but it was incredibly rewarding to another degree, with helping provide that experience to those guys on that team, most of which had never been to an NCAA tournament. So that's always it's a driving force for me, is to help these guys provide that experience for them. And they'll remember that forever. So it was really, that was really rewarding also. Moving forward, just looking at how we built that team into a winner. We actually, the year before, in the COVID year, we started off 9-0, and we received a single vote for the top 25 that year. But we were really good the year before, and then we, like everyone else, but we had a lot of COVID stuff, and we ended up 18-8. So fine, it was still a good record, but we were on pace to do something really special the year before that. But so we waited a year, and it made it even more special that we did wait a year, and we had most of the same team back and added some new guys. And so really rewarding. But yeah, so that kind of, I'd like to mirror that kind of experience, but do it in a little quicker fashion. When I first got to Chattanooga, the transfer portal hadn't been invented yet. So it didn't come out until, I think like December of 2018. So it was 2019 by the time you were delving into it. We had been there for 2 years. So I think you can do it quickly. After the transfer portal hit, we won 20 games the next year. And so I want to try to do it at a quick rate, but at the same time, not taking any shortcuts here at South Carolina in order to get us to be a consistent player in the game and in the race for SEC regular season champs, and for if we're in a league where if you are in contention at all for that, you're going to expect to do great things in the NCAA tournament. And that's what I really like about this conference. And I know there's a lot of challenges that go with that, but a lot of opportunities and rewards as well.
So you mentioned the transfer portal, and that's something that already in your short time at South Carolina, you've had quite a bit of success with, bringing in Abrima Adiba, Michi Johnson, Hayden Brown, a lot of high quality guys who are capable of producing, or in Michi's case, have already produced at the high major level. I guess in addition to those three and what they bring to your roster, what does it look like for you and your staff in terms of acquiring talent and developing that talent, whether it be through the transfer portal, in-state recruits, out-of-state recruits? How does that all come together, and what do you plan to see the next 3-4 years at South Carolina?
Yeah, so I think the transfer portal is a good tool. I don't aspire to lean on it heavily every single year. I'd like to have some infrastructure, and I think we'll achieve that a couple different ways. One, some of these guys that we're bringing in have multiple years, so they're going to be here for more than just 1 year. And then we had 2 young men that were already committed and signed to South Carolina that honored their commitment after meeting me, and still wanted to come here. And so I'm really excited about them, as they are about us, the university, and this program here. So it's good to have some young guys. I just don't think you can have 13, 14, 15 guys on your roster. You get 13 scholarships. You can't have 13 guys that really, honestly, deep in their gut, feel like they should be playing 20 minutes. I think you're setting yourself up for failure if you have that. But so it's nice to have some young guys that are learning, getting better, pushing guys, and then as their time comes, and whoever those guys are, developing guys, then they can you have some, again, infrastructure. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward just to get the guys back on campus and start working with them in the gym. We did very little to nothing in the gym, honestly, with our other guys, just because it was a one-man band here for a while. We were trying to get players. We needed 9 guys. And so we spent a lot of time doing that, but just looking forward to getting in the gym with those guys, helping developing as guys is a big part of what I do. I enjoy it probably more than anything in this profession. And the guys know when you're faking it and when you're really in there spending time with them. And so look forward to doing that and just having guys be the best version of themselves. I think if they do that and I stay out of the way, I think there are a lot of good things that can happen on the basketball court.
One of the things that, before we wrap up, one of the things that I see mentioned in reference to you often is the character and the energy that you bring to the programs that you've been with, and making sure that the job that you're in is as good as it can be, or the people around you can have the easiest job possible. And one of the things that I picked up on during your introductory press conference was the impact that your parents had on you. And you mentioned that you being, I believe, a first generation college graduate in your family. And yep. You mentioned that I think something along the lines of your parents earned a PhD in parenting. So I'd love to know, before we wrap up, just your perspective on how they might have shaped your career, how they might have shaped you as a man outside of basketball, and just kind of what is the lasting impact that they have for you as you progress in your career?
Yeah, so many things. I mean, they were extremely nurturing, but at the same time, they wanted me to grow, and they understood that failure was a part of growth. So they challenged and pushed me. They gave me everything I needed to succeed. And I mean, literally everything that I needed. They were phenomenal phenomenal examples. They were disciplinarians, but they were fair. They were extremely loving, and they were incredibly generous with their time and with what resources that they did have. And they would make sacrifices. So I think those things, and they really taught me how to interact with a variety of people, and just how important people were, and having a relationship with people. And so those are the things that have helped shape me as a coach. I value my relationships with our players. I discipline them, but I'm fair. I give them a lot of freedom. I'm willing to have my feelings hurt, because I do give them a lot of freedom, and it doesn't happen too often because we recruit the right guys. But my parents were the same way. They allowed us to do the things that we should be allowed to do, and if we could have taken advantage of them, they would have been disappointed. And there was nothing worse in my family. I'd rather be punished by them than to have my parents feel disappointed in a decision that I had made. And so that's kind of how I coach. I don't do it out of fear. It's not fear-based coaching, but I do help try to teach them how to make good decisions on the court, off the court, and then recruit the kind of guys that are going to continue to do that. But so yeah, very, very thankful for the family that I had, the parents that I had. It got off to a great start because of that. And again, they just gave me everything I needed to succeed. And so I just tried to not mess it up. And here we are today. So.
It's an awesome story. SEC and the University of South Carolina are fortunate to have one of the rising stars and current stars in this profession, in Lamont Paris. And Coach, we really appreciate the time that you have taken out of your schedule, and we wish you the very best of luck in the years to come.
Well, Eli, I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the time. And if you ever want to get back with me and have me on here again, just let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Go Cox.